From Brooklyn, New York, born and raised. I went to college in Tallahassee, Florida. I went to Florida A&M University to HBCU in Tallahassee, and then I transferred and went to Florida State, and that's where also in Tallahassee, and that's where I graduated. I have degrees in finance and marketing from FSU, and I moved to Naples in 2003. I've been here in Naples for the last 19 years. Married, I have three sons. And my career has been in banking, financial services, and in life insurance. And so that was kind of like my real life. That was my career. I got involved in politics about 10, 12 years ago. And it was actually really because of the financial collapse. Well, that would put it 14 years ago. I started like paying attention to not just the economy, that was my job and that's what I did, but also our politics, and started to spend a little bit more time watching what was going on in Washington, D.C. And it really kind of got me off the couch. Just a thing that kind of got me engaged. From there, I ran for Congress actually back in 2012. A bunch of people in my community asked me to run, and I had no idea what I was doing. But I just said, you know what, I'll give it a shot, and tried about 50 different things. Only three of them worked, but we actually had a really good showing, even though we weren't successful. In 2016, I ran for the state legislature in Florida. I won that race, and so I served 4 years in Tallahassee. And then after that, our congressional seat came open again, and I didn't really think I was going to run. I actually thought I was going to leave politics overall, but the congressional seat came open again. I ran, and here we are. So my first encounter with cryptos was actually with some of my clients. I'm securities licensed, so I have my 7 and my 66. I was a financial advisor for the last 5.5 years before I went to Congress. So I had clients when Bitcoin was trading at, $1,500, $1,600, asking me, should I invest? And at the time, I just didn't know much about the space at all. I didn't really know anything about it. And so I would just tell my clients, like, listen, I can't really advise you because I don't know enough. Like, I'd have to get educated. But, if you feel compelled to and you have a free couple thousand lying around, why not? Just go have some fun with it, I guess. But I really couldn't advise clients. I don't own any crypto. Okay. Mostly because even at the time I was just like, I thought about it, but I, again, just was wrapped up in a ton of other things and just didn't invest.
So the technology of crypto and blockchain have evolved significantly, and it's becoming a big part of how tech is going to move forward, and even America's leadership in that area, which we did with the internet, and it is of course a global competition. So there's many talks of the United States not being the leader in the space due to lack of regulatory clarity, and although we're seeing some movements now, and part of that is the SEC. And the Howey test, which is 90 years old. And then recently you participated in a bipartisan letter to SEC Chair Gary Gensler. Can you tell us about this letter? What was the purpose of it? And what is the expected outcome that you're looking for?
Well, the purpose of the letter, in my view, is to Chairman Gensler to not, frankly, come out with an idea of over-regulating the space, or trying to stretch the Securities Act to kind of cover crypto. The Securities Act covers so many things. And my fear, my concern is that, he's never met a financial instrument that he doesn't believe requires maximum regulation, in my view. And I think that look, I'm one that believes it's actually time for us, not just with respect to crypto assets. It's just with our entire financial system. The 1934 Securities Act is something that I totally understand it when it was created. I don't want to say update, because Washington has a weird way of updating in a negative way for industries. Probably what I would say is that it's really time for us, and that, I'm going to use a phrase that my colleagues on the other side like to use a lot, but we actually really need to rethink and think outside the box how we're going to regulate the financial industry overall. You're talking to somebody who is like a big proponent and a big believer in regulatory sandboxes. This is essentially the thought process where industries should be self-regulating organizations. You guys should regulate yourself, figure out what best practices are, and follow that. And of course, there'll be some consults, with the federal government, with the respective agency at the federal level. But the reality is that you execute that stuff on your own. You're not coming to Washington and frankly begging us to make some innocuous rule change, which would probably take 3 or 4 years, but you could have done it, by meeting with your colleagues and frankly your competition to figure out what's best for your industry. I think what the federal government should be concerned about is, and you touched on it, investor protections. And I mean, and this is what I mean, investor protections. And again, I don't mean like a massive amount of compliance work, which is unfortunately how we do investor protections in the United States right now, which is to the detriment of financial markets, in my opinion. But I think what you do is you want to make sure that you're taking a fraud. Obviously, you still want to be concerned about money laundering and things of that nature, whether respect to terrorist organizations or drug cartels. But that's kind of where you want to keep the federal government's, and I think that's going to remain until you have until after the midterm elections. As a Republican, I think we're gonna retake the House, and so when we do that, I think that's when you're gonna see some pretty powerful things in a good way. I think come out of the Financial Services Committee and other committees on Capitol Hill. And so I think we're thinking about what's to come this year legislatively. I think it's going to be pretty quiet, except for the handful of things we have to do for the remainder of the calendar year.
Mm. Okay, final question. It's a rapid fire question, more on the personal side. What's your favorite food?
Oh my gosh. I'm not really a foodie, so this is tough. You know what? I'm gonna go out there and say my favorite food, man, it's gotta be chicken. I just love chicken.
Favorite
I just love it.
favorite musician or band?
Oh, Jay-Z.
Favorite movie?
Shawshank Redemption. I watch it anytime it comes on.
Oh yeah, it's a great one. Same thing. I have to watch it when it's on. Favorite book?
The Law by Frederick Bastiat. I read it 14 years ago. It's a primer on political philosophy and the purpose of law. Has nothing to do with Republican Democrat stuff. It's actually quite refreshing.
I'll have to check that one out. And finally, what do you do for fun as a hobby or pastime?
Oh man, I'm a movie guy. I work out a lot more because DC's crazy. And I'm a sports junkie. I love basketball, love football. That's what I do to unwind.
Well, I'm a big basketball junkie. Who's your favorite team?
We're struggling, man. I'm a Laker fan, and it's not going. Look, we won the title in the bubble, so I'm happy about that. But it's been a struggle this year, to say the least.
Yeah, it's been very bad. Hopefully they can turn around next year. I know LeBron just got his scoring title, and well, not yet, but passed him.
Yeah, he passed Karl Malone. Yeah, he passed Karl Malone.
Awesome. Congressman Donald, it's great chatting with you. Thank you for joining me today.